Hey guys, it's Elon from Inside Fighting, back again with another amazing episode. Jiu-Jitsu International Fighting Systems. If you wanted to make Jiu-Jitsu effective, if you wanted to make it into a sport that demonstrated how dangerous it can be, this is the one that's doing it. It's pretty awesome. Once again, one of those things you can't find in the United States. It's like very much across Europe. Stay tuned. We're going to jump right in.
Pow, pow. Inside fighting, yeah. Dangerous martial arts. Pow, pow. Ooh, ah.
All right, guys, as always, I like to talk about my collagen, but I want to say something I'm really excited about. We got one of the coolest people ever to try our collagen, and he loved it, and he's taking it consistently, and he did a video for us. His name is Bas Rutten. Check it out. I'm just excited about this.
Now, I only like to put the best stuff into my system. And No Man Labs has a quality collagen which is unbelievable. It's grass-fed, it's third-party tested, which is very important right here in America actually. It is also super clean and it has only natural ingredients. Then on top of that, I already mentioned it, it's American made and it's backed in a veteran-owned facility. No Man Labs. If you want to get a real good product for you, take this one.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching that. Check out nomanlabscollagen.com. We sold out of the unflavored. It's amazing. If you're suffering from any type of chronic condition, you're just training hard, or you need support for your bones, joints, or connective tissue, our formulas in the United States. We do everything in an American lab, veteran-owned bagging facility. It's a really good premium product. Again, nomanlabs.com. Okay, let's just jump into Jiu-Jitsu International Fighting Systems. Right off the bat, I want to say this is not like Jiu-Jitsu, it's Jiu-Jitsu. Traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, at least that's kind of what the energy behind it is. It's not really that old a system. I believe it started in the 60s or 70s in Europe, but it is based on karate, traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, and judo. Now, in the end, I've talked about this before, everything becomes MMA. It's just either MMA with a gi, it's MMA with a knife in your hand, it's MMA with not punching to the face, like or smacking to the head, like old school pankration rules. But no matter what, it's some variation of punching, kicking, takedown, submissions, and unless you go multiple attackers and weapons. And so everything kind of evolves in the same direction. What I want to talk about that's very unique is how training methodologies can make the approach, the transitions, the submissions completely different. In other words, if you have a Muay Thai background and you learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and you created an entire kind of infrastructure around competing in that style, meaning if every single person who came in was a Muay Thai guy with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills, you would create a very specific looking fight. The same can be said for Japanese Jiu-Jitsu or Judo mixed with karate. It lends to a different style of movement. And I think that's where martial arts gets unique. I think when I started seeing karate combat, I was very excited because I'm like, man, they're only going to let in black belts in karate and probably taekwondo. And we'll see, even though they might not be at as high an MMA level, some really pure demonstrations of those styles in an environment where they can do whatever they want. And sadly, they started bringing in MMA fighters, guys who have nothing to do with karate, Muay Thai guys, and it's not really karate combat anymore. The appeal was the purity of the people training the systems. So interestingly enough, that's what this style is. Now, right off the bat, I have 4 videos here. I haven't watched them. I wanted to watch them live with you and get some real reactions. So I'm going to add the first one to the stage. 10 unbelievable ippon throws. So again, if we just look at this, I guarantee you it's not going to look like, modern day MMA in the UFC. Those women fighting? Interesting. You could see this already is very different. Oh, see, you just don't see that in the UFC. That was like a more of like a, and you can't because you just don't have the gi in the UFC. That was a beautiful throw right there. Right off the bat, the way they close in on each other and keep their hands is so different than kind of what oh my God. Those are like Sambo judo style throws. And I love how it continues on the ground after. But again, you just don't see things that dynamic when you're not wearing a gi and when you get guys who are all wrestlers. It just changes the nature of the takedown. It's so cool to watch. Beautiful sweep. And that's much easier again with the gi. The gi changes throws so much. I think MMA with a gi is way more interesting. It just opens up all types of crazy stuff to happen, like combat sambo. So again, my main note here is just how low they keep their hands, both of them. And they do a lot of these like hip loading throws where they put you on their hips and then they toss you. And again, really, really kind of nice transitions into the takedowns. And they blitz at each other. Look at that. Again, same throw. Seems to be a really common throw in this tournament right here. I gotta say, I'm impressed. Like, again, I love seeing a pure approach, meaning these guys train karate and judo, but everyone is doing karate and judo and Japanese jiu-jitsu here. Like, none of these guys are coming from, like I said, a Muay Thai and wrestling background to compete in the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu International Fighting Systems competition. It's not even Japanese, it's international. And it's mostly in Europe, as you can see. But that's the point. That was a beautiful, beautiful throw. Everything here when they throw is so clean. It really looks like, if I were to just isolate the highlights, this is exactly what you would see in a judo competition for a perfect ippon that you just don't see in other styles. So in isolation, everything they're doing, just those throws, looks exactly like the system they're training. Again, judo. I think this has to happen more. I think styles, like ONE FC did a good job of it. That was also a beautiful throw. Look at that. He penetrates deep on the leg, loads him up, and then tosses him. ONE FC did a good job of taking Muay Thai and saying, let's just take off the gloves and do small glove Muay Thai. Let's just put that. And then everyone who fights in there, most of the people are Muay Thai guys. You do have some Kyokushin guys and some Dutch kickboxers. But again, like, it's very cool to see people from a specific style go compete under new rule sets when everyone is from those original systems. Like MMA just for karate guys. Again, what karate combat should have been. That is so clean. You know what's funny? Like, I train these throws all the time, and I have such a hard time pulling them off on people. And yet, like, in competitions against fully resisting pros, these guys are managing to do it. It's always impressive to me. Takedowns for me are one of the hardest aspects of fighting against a guy who's just defensive and knows how to kind of keep you away, control their hips, and can sprawl. Like, it's just one of those things I've always kind of struggled with. Like, fully committing to a throw, I always felt was a little dangerous. Why I go for trips, I go for head control. I look at more street-oriented stuff, but it's so beautiful to watch. Let's pull up this next fight right here. What I will say is they have really nice lead kicks. This looks kind of like a Shotokan, but more practical. Definitely does not look like a Kyokushin style approach to striking. Beautiful entry again. They really have, and I talk about this a lot, really nice transitions from their striking into their grappling. And you could see they give points for a clean punch. Kind of like what you would see in Shotokan. See, he's raising his arm, he's giving him points. So they're keeping that kind of traditional Japanese rules of karate in the system, but they don't stop the fight, and the fight can continue to the ground. And as much as people bash this kind of striking, which I know it's awkward for me too, it's just not the way I fight. I keep my hands up. I fight more like a boxer or a Muay Thai guy. But as much as people may bash it, it does develop a very specific kind of skill set, which has its place. It's a very blitz-oriented, linear fencing-style striking where you're out and you're in. That can be very effective in the street, to just blitz in on a guy and then back out and be out of the fight. Muay Thai can sometimes get too comfortable, or boxing, in the pocket. And that's a dangerous place to be in a real life or death situation. You just don't know. You don't know what he's going to pull out. You don't know what he's going to be able to take. You don't know where his friends are going to be. When you fight like this, as much as I want to say it just doesn't look appealing to me, and I just don't fight like that. I like to get in there. It has tremendous value. And again, every single person here is fighting stylistically the same way. Light on the feet, linear, in and out. So you're not getting a random Muay Thai guy in here who's just messing it all up for everyone and just walking forward, covering his head, and just kind of, and nor would he perform well in this rule set, most likely. Because they're awarding points for just like a quick touch. But this would make someone very effective in the street. In, out, close the distance, takedown. If the person's wearing clothes or they're in any environment where jackets are worn, they'll have more understanding of the gi. than the average kind of person who trains MMA. There's a lot of stuff here that's very, very good. And as much as people want to believe it's easy to punch people when they're whipping you around like that, when they grab your collar and start chucking you, it's not. You can't really get a clean punch off. It was a nice head kick, to be honest. If that was done hard, I feel like that would have landed. Beautiful takedown. Again, these are just really clean transitions. And look, right away, controlling the position, sprawling out nice and low. Just real clean fundamentals and a perfect demonstration of what judo and karate could look like. Never mind, could. Clearly does, ladies and gentlemen. Clearly does. So very nice here. I'm liking this. This is incredibly long, so I'm going to move on to the next video because I feel like this one's like 10 minutes. I don't want to drive you guys crazy. But what I will say about this is, as much as before I said it's like MMA with the gi, I want to stress how much it's also authentic to itself very clearly in how they all move. You see that choke a lot in judo. You rarely see it in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu where they try and whip to the back. Anyway, sadly, this is once again one of those systems I'll never get to train. Maybe if I go back to Portugal, which I hope happens, I'll be able to train this. But let's go to the next one. Let's see what the next one's like. I got a whole range of videos here, some with subs, some with just highlights. Tried to make it interesting for you guys. This, to me, again, looks like just really cool judo. And the rules are on the ground. They're not, oh, beautiful. He's going for a calf crush. Right away saw it. That was a beautiful setup for a calf crush. And he got it with the shin pads on top of it. And I think the guy wants to learn what he did. Oh, no. That was just a replay. That was sick. That was sick. I love calf crushes. I think they're underrated, and you can get them from so many positions. Beautiful. So, again, like modern sport BJJ will destroy these guys on the ground without punches. But will they destroy these guys in a fight that starts standing where anything goes? In my opinion, is they will not. They will not win those fights. They'll get punched in the head. Well, maybe some of them will win. You put Gordon Ryan in anywhere, and I think he's beating most people. He's just such a beast. But I do think this is a more complete skill set than modern-day BJJ. I know I bash modern-day sport jiu-jitsu a lot. I do that because I love it. I still train it. But I just think it's so lacking in some areas. You know, people bash Kyokushin all the time. They say, like, oh, they don't allow head punches. Number one, they do. But yeah, you're right. In the standard Kyokushin competitions, they don't allow head punches. But you're going bare knuckle, full contact to the body. And in more modified rules, you're doing takedowns. You're doing everything. But then in jiu-jitsu, nobody has any problem at all that you're not punching at all and that the takedown is not even relevant to the sport, sadly. That was very clean also. But let's just look at that one more time. You see how he's crossing his legs? This is like a thing you're never supposed to do. I just want to explain to people just in case they don't know what happened here. Guy took his back, crossed his ankles. See how his ankles are crossed? One in red shin pads. Guy in blue shin pads is going to take his leg over, triangle them over the ankles, and press down. Breaks your ankles, even if the guy has your back. It's like a really old school sub that I used to do on people in jiu-jitsu when I was like a white belt when they would cross their legs. You'll rarely see Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys do that, but he looks like he popped his knee. Ouch. He ain't getting up. Man. I don't see them striking a lot on the ground. Clock choke. Wow, and he really kept it as the guy went around. That was slick. These are just what I really like that I'm seeing is if you look at like Roger Gracie training jiu-jitsu, these are the kind of subs that Roger Gracie pulls off, like a standard clock choke or rear naked choke or just like a really clean fundamental choke. They seem to be doing a lot of that here. Just like old school jiu-jitsu fundamentals, which is closer connected to traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu. One thing I hate, and I just have to go back and show you guys this. I don't mean to be a jerk, but just look at this. Look how he runs away after he punches. All right, just watch the guy in red. What was that? And then he turns his back and runs away. That's one of my problems with. He shouldn't be in there. Looks like he's having a panic attack. But beautifully going for the knee bar. I spoke too soon. He has it. It's done. See it happening before it happened, but the guy's going to tap. Yeah. Oh, spoke too soon. He's good at jiu-jitsu, sucks on his feet. Worked out for him fine. Guy came in a little too aggressively. Man, these people are waiting a long time to tap. Every single person who is like tapping seems to be in extreme pain after the fact. Just not a good way to do it. And then here we have the 10 best transitions. It's just a beautiful takedown. Kept good control and balance. Drove in off the head kick. It was lucky it didn't land a little cleaner. But if you are going to survive a head kick when it's already, too far gone for you to lift up your arm, that's the way to do it. Just rush in. Just drive in. When all else fails, the ultimate goal is to drive in. Beautiful. Wow. That was clean. Very clean. And again, kept relatively good control. Allowed the guy's hips to roll over, but controlled the upper body pretty nice. Whoa, overrolled. A big problem in judo. When you get an ippon, the fight stops, even if you continue rolling, which creates the habit of momentum. And then people don't realize that you're allowing the other guy to get on top. That's a big problem that I sometimes see judo guys have, is that they sacrifice their position for the throw. They'll like overthrow the person into them ending up on bottom. That was beautiful too. Look how they blitz. Beautiful. Caught the leg. Another thing I like is their takedowns off of catching the leg or off of punches. It's not just wrestling. It's integrated into their striking. Very clean. Guys, I can't wait to hear in the comment section what you guys think of this style. And I know some of you live in Europe, so I'd love to hear from anyone who's actually trained it. There's a conversation I had with my students. We can watch this as I tell this story about the difference between like tactics and strategy in a real street situation. That was insane, by the way. Just like full on went down and did a trip. It's like an old school movie technique that would never, you would think, work in real life, but he pulled it off. So I was talking about strategy versus tactics. And in the street, you have a very basic strategy. It's to cover your head, blitz in, let's say whatever the strategy may be. But for an example, you cover your head, you blitz in, and you control him and slam him into the ground or elbow him, break posture, whatever that is. But it's very direct. It's very short, explosive, and simple. You don't make it complex. And then when you go learn how to do striking or other styles, what you learn is how to feint. You learn how to do tricks. You learn how to set people up. You learn how to counter. The truth is, in the street, none of that is really relevant. Number one, you're not fighting a trained pro. They're probably not even going to bite on your feint. They're just going to charge you and try and throw wild haymakers. So we spend a lot of time on tactics. Tactics are complex kind of reactions or setups. And in reality, in this, like the street or self-defense, those tactics are relatively useless. Like the more basic fundamental stuff is more important. Being conditioned, being tough, having power, being able to close the distance, having good balance. Those are not complex things. And yet so many styles, even combat sports, because we develop to fight pros, spend time teaching how to trick the guy who's another pro. When in reality, if you want to learn self-defense, you shouldn't be doing that. You should just be learning how to do the core fundamentals and basics. And the problem with that is that you will then lose if you train the way I'm telling you. You will lose to the boxer in a boxing gym. You will lose to the jiu-jitsu guy in a jiu-jitsu gym. Like I said, these guys will lose to a modern-day sport BJJ guy in sport BJJ. But that doesn't mean you're less effective in the street. It doesn't mean you're not training yourself to be more equipped to deal with radical violence and aggressiveness. And in the end of the day, if your goal is survival, then that should be your primary focus in training. Seems like these guys really understand that. The system itself just lends itself stylistically to blitzing in, doing damage on the way in, clinching up to take away the ability for counter punches, taking them down and neutralize. I didn't notice a lot of feints. I didn't notice a lot of setups or counters. I noticed like a guy kicking, I grab his leg, I blitz in. I punch, I blitz in. And I actually very much like that simplistic approach to fighting. It's based on explosiveness. It's based on covering distance. And it's based on fundamentals. And I think a lot of the time that lends itself, like I said, to be a better equipped fighter for survival. Anyway, this was a really cool style. I enjoyed the videos. I hope you enjoyed the videos. I know my commentary over them can be a bit much. But thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Check out the Collagen. If you want instructionals, go to InsideFightingStore.com. There's some great instructionals on there. And by the way, if you get an instructional and you don't like it within 30 days, just message me and I'll send you hate mail. And by that, I mean I'll refund you. Or I'll refund you. I won't send you hate mail. Okay, bye.